Starting late, borough attorney got a flat tire, and the mayor left something in his cloud computer, so he had to print it out.
Want to go get him?
No, you can't get the borough attorney. He's got a flat tire.
I'm going to get him and bring him over here.
He's coming. He's on his way. Anyway, let's call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is a meeting of the Hillsdale Borough Council on the 6th day of March, 2018. Notice of the time and place of this meeting has been provided to the Ridgewood News and the Record. A copy was posted on the bulletin board outside of this meeting room and provided to any interested parties. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your left. Please silence all cell phones and beepers. May I roll call, please, Denise?
Councilmember DeRosa?
Here.
Councilmember Horvath?
Present.
Councilmember Carson?
Present.
Councilmember Lundy.
Here.
Councilmember Segalas?
Here.
Council President Pizella? Here.
Okay. First order of business is a recognition or proclamation for the Pascack Valley wrestling team, who is here in force tonight. They won the state sectional championship, and Councilman DeRosa is going to give a slight explanation and do the honors of the proclamation.
You're not going to take one of them on?
No.
So the camera's that way, so just if you can all come up here and face that way. Or you can go behind the dais too, the table.
Keep going. One more thing. Rodney and Kelly, they have a banner for his 100th career win.
Okay. Cool. All right. Good.
Okay, so we recognize a couple of Pascack Valley teams, both sports and technology teams. These recognitions have not just been for... Actually, we're going to get a picture at the end, so if you want to hold off. These recognitions that we've honored have been not just for league or division titles, but actually state and national wins. The Pascack Valley athletic program has been on a tear for the past year and a half or so, and we're talking about some pretty substantial wins and titles. In fact, the regional dance team just took a national championship in Florida, and we'll be recognizing them next month. But tonight we're recognizing the PV wrestling team. Wrestling is a unique sport in that it's a one-on-one competition in your match, yet you accumulate team points and to see where your team stands. So you could lose a couple of matches personally and still win the match as a team. You could win all of them, and win as well. So from what I understand, this group has worked exceptionally as a team, and to quote Coach Galliano to my left here, I believe he said, in a day and age where people are worried about themselves, these guys don't care who gets to win. They just want to win. If they don't do it, the next guy steps up and gets it. They truly worked as a team. This year, they were division champs for the first time since 2005, defeating Northern Valley Old Tapan. They also claimed their 600th school career victory win. And the team has dozens of league and district titles over the year, but a state championship has kind of eluded them until this year. So last month, they won the state sectional title for the first time in school's history. As I've said before, it's the academic and athletic programs in our high school that bring people to our town and who want to sell here and raise a family. So we're thankful to you guys and the administration and teachers and coaches for what you do. And now would be appropriate time for me to read the plaque here. So it reads, presented to the Pascack Valley wrestling team for their achievement of the 2017-2018 North 1 Group 3 New Jersey State Sectional Champions in recognition from the Borough of Hillsdale. I'll give it to you, Coach. So, while they did win and lose as a team, there were three individuals who went to the state finals in Atlantic City, Mr. Cellini, Mr. Byer, and Mr. Natelli. And I believe Coach... I think Coach Byer has something special.
One more thing for Robbie. We didn't get to bring it to him.
One last thing. And one last thing, some of you may not have heard this yet, but Coach Gallione was named Bergen County Coach of the Year for wrestling this year.
Okay, so can you just squeeze in there for one picture? Are we good? All right, enjoy the snow day. Congratulations again. Thank you. Congratulations on the
Take your time.
Words to be posted on YouTube investigation.
Yeah, one story. It's too noisy. The story I tell.
When I was in college, wrestling was sport, and I was always the guy that was just the kid. He all the holes off because I was the shortest guy. Yeah, I was the shortest guy. They were, okay, Mr. Luca, come here.
You get to pay me for that. It's the power of the gavel. I better make sure my wife never gets hold of one of these. Next, we'll do an oath of office, a number of appointments. Patrick, do you want to swear John Wegwarts in? I understand Mark is not here. Do you prefer, or I can do it? You want me to? Oh, whatever. Okay. I do the swearing. Is that?
John, and then we also have Sabina. On foot.
We're going to have to maybe just go around the other way. Okay. Okay, here we go. So John is being sworn in into our fire department, full membership. Right? Okay. Let's repeat after me, John. I, John Weglarts.
John
You
Weglarts.
can't cheat.
Okay.
You can't cheat. You can't look at this. I, John Weglarts,
I, John Weglarts,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Hillsdale Volunteer Fire Department
of the office of Hillsdale Volunteer Fire Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. So, you need to sign,
Okay.
and you have to sign that book, as I understand it, as well. Otherwise, we'll have our first accident here in the Borough Hall.
Nice to see you.
We have 2 oaths to administer for the planning board. Scott Raymond. How are you? Thanks, Mayor. 2 separate positions, and we'll do Steve. You gonna hold the Bible? Yeah. Okay. How are you, Mary? Good. Okay.
We're going to get advice and consent. You're nominating planning board members? I apologize, we're a little late.
No, that's fine. Is that the,
The practice, I believe, would be, Mayor, that the planning board, are they advice and consent?
No, see, that's what
It's a direct appointment.
yes, that's what I was thinking, so.
Very good.
But I will take your
No,
counsel.
that's fine, that's fine.
So, Scott, repeat after me. I, Scott Raymond, do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly
that I
swear
will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of the planning board, the non-expiring term ending December 31st, 2018. Of the duties of the planning board,
duties of the planning board,
the non-expiring term
non-expiring term,
ending December 31st, 2018,
ending December 21st,
31st,
2018,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for saying that.
You need to sign that. I think you. This one is for the fire. You don't need to sign that. Yeah, you can take that off.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah. That's it. Great. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We have one other member to swear into the planning board, Stephen? Huh? What? Okay. So do I have someone who can hold the Bible? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go right ahead. Thank you. Okay.
You start at the front.
Okay. I, Stephen Reardon,
I, Stephen Reardon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of the Planning Board, seat alternate number 1, the non-expiring term, ending December 31st, 2020, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations, Stephen. Thank you. Thank you so much. You didn't think you were going to do extra duty, did you? You have to sign it there. That's it. Great. So you got the email. Very good.
Mayor, Robert came in for...
Robert, you snuck in, Robert.
I just got the email. I was also going to go to bed.
The dedication of the people that serve the municipality of Hillsdale is amazing.
Do I need somebody to hold the Bible?
Who can hold the Bible? It's okay.
Thank you.
Yep. And this is for the committee, access to all. Right. Very good. I, Robert Halinger,
I, Robert Heiliger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
and
to the governments established in the United States
to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
under
the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties of the Committee of Access for All
all the duties of the Committee of Access for All
for the Borough of Hillsdale
for the Borough of Hillsdale
for a one-year term
for a one-year term
ending December 31st, 2018,
ending December 31st, 2018,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you, Robert. No, because Marty's not here. No, I think you, yes, it was one, Robert didn't have to sign here. Right up top. Okay, so we should do that. Okay. So on the nominations for the Access to All Committee, council informs me that the council needs to do a motion to record for both Mr. Ward, even though he wasn't here, and Robert Heilinger. Do I have a motion for that?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Carthage?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocco?
No.
Councilmember Zagales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
Okay, good. And Planning Board, no, those were mayor appointments, as the council pointed out before. We have no presentations. We can go to the initial public comment period. This is a comment period, time limited, new topics only, one topic per speaker. We'll open this up to the public. Anyone wish to address the council at this time? Madam? Yes, just come to the podium and state your name and address and speak into the mic.
Okay. Corinne Worley, 51 Beverly Road, Hillsdale. I don't know if any of you on the council live west of Pascack. If you do, you understand where I'm coming from. If you don't, I'm sure you know what we've been through. I'm talking about our inability to park for the weekends because of the farm. It's less than 6 months away, and I just am coming now to ask if there's anything that you can do, possibly if we could get stickers that we're residents of I'm going to say Little Ferry because that's where I was from, but from Hillsdale. And it's really very difficult because in my home, we have 6 cars. And while we can get them on the driveway, if someone has to go somewhere, we have to jockey cars all day. We can't have people visit because there's nothing close to park without going up Langerfield. So I'm coming again to ask if there's anything that we could do that you could allow us as residents to be able to use our town and be able to enjoy our town. I know it's not, an easy task, but for those of us, we pay a lot of taxes, and I don't mind the taxes because I've learned I really enjoy this town. I love this town. My kids are here, and I want to stay here, but I want to be able to stay here and enjoy my home and invite people to my home. I can't say you can only come Monday to Friday. It's not a business. It's a home.
Yeah. We've had it under active consideration. It is complicated by the fact that there's litigation existing between us and the farm. And at this point, our borough attorney, is there anything to add at this point?
I certainly don't think any discussion of plans are concluded, but the mayor is correct that there is currently pending litigation with the farm involving parking ordinances and things like that. So I think it would probably be unwise if we discussed in public plans or options that may or may not exist.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to do that in public. I understand the ramifications that those things have. I'm just saying I'd like to bring it out now and not wait until July and say, oh, by the way. If I was honest, I should have come in September.
It's not lost on anyone here about, you're not the only one to have expressed that view.
I'm sure.
The majority probably of folks who live in your neighborhood don't have the objections. They feel it, but a good number of them also would like greater flexibility as you do, and we're aware of that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council? Madam.
Hello.
Hello.
Marla Diego Henriquez. We're at 3 Loretta Street. We also have a parking issue unrelated to the farm. We are in between Broadway. Our driveway is on Clinton, and one side of the street has no parking, and our side does. So we end up with people flanking our driveway. And there's been many instances where I've been almost like T-boned pulling out of my own driveway. So I've been in touch with Chief Francavilla. He proposed something, and it was denied. So his recommendation was to come here, tell everybody what our issue was, and see if there's some kind of resolution that could be had.
Yeah, and just to fill in a little bit, I think there might be a there might be a little misunderstanding exactly how we were trying to ask for the no parking area in front of our driveway. It's not necessarily from Clinton from Loretta to Broadway all the way. There is a sign that actually says no parking up to the stop sign. There's probably a 2-space gap between that sign and my driveway. So, and then the gas station being on the bottom side, which 4 or 5 cars parked there, not an issue. But if you have 2 cars parked or 1 car parked on the top side, the angle that the street actually comes down, we are not visibly able to see any traffic coming from the bottom. So last year, we did have 2 temporary signs put up. It was discussed that we were eventually trying to see if we can put a permanent sign in that one location. It got to the point nobody really follows those signs anymore. They know that they're just there. And we've heard over periods of time where people just say, oh, they just told us to ignore the signs because nobody really does anything about it. So in a sense, it's not necessarily from the parking from our driveway down to Broadway. just the two spots going up towards the Loretta side. It's just, the visibility is unbearable. I mean, if
I'm
I
familiar
had a
with,
video or something, I can show you specifically.
I live in your neighborhood, I'm familiar with the
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
I walk by there frequently,
Okay.
especially in the summer, so I know.
Okay.
I walk up and down that street, so
Well,
I
and
know the
Clinton is such a
situation.
cut-through,
Yeah.
and people just, they take the turn off of Broadway fast because, there's traffic. And some days it's,
Yeah.
like I can't even pull in. I have to back in because I have kids in my car, and I'd much rather the front get hit.
If I remember, this issue came before the police committee, so...
Yes.
Correct.
Mhm.
And it was declined, I believe, because perhaps it was because the wording was stating from the whole entire street, and people wouldn't park on both sides. I'm not necessarily stating that. I'm happy with the parking being left on the bottom side towards the gas station. Just the two top side, at least we can focus only on one side versus looking at two sides when you're backing up specifically. So now we're at the point where we're actually reversing both in just to get out with our kids in the morning, take them to school and so forth, so.
Does anyone on the police committee want to...
I think our concern was there was already no parking on the one side, and
Mm-hmm.
if we basically close the street to parking, that was just going to keep backing everything up.
Right.
Okay, so they would park on the east, you're afraid they would park on the east side of Loretta?
It was just going to cascade down into Clinton. That was our concern. And we were hoping that the business owner would be mindful and not block their driveway that they could see. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, if there's like a pickup truck that's getting worked on or something that sits outside, it's harder to see. It's just, and I've discussed it with them, I've told them...
It's going to really hurt his business as well.
Oh, no, but even his employees park right there. So in essence, I've actually advised them, I have no issue of them parking on Loretta in front of my house.
Yeah,
You can block my whole front, I have no issues at all.
It's the visibility issue for
Yeah,
you.
it's literally two spots, because there is a sign
Yeah.
that says no parking from here to stop. It's literally that little two-car gap from that,
And when
from the
they're
north
flanking,
side.
it's just,
Yeah.
you just can't see.
Just one thing we may not have considered, and we'll look into, provided it is within our province. If not, maybe the ordinance review committee will look at it. But I believe we have ordinances that preclude vehicles that are being worked on from being on the street in the course of commercial operations. And perhaps that's something we can discuss at one of our upcoming meetings and look at the issue. Have any summonses been issued at that location that we know?
Sorry, go ahead.
The borough ordinances or anything like that, Chief? Maybe you could help us?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I was looking at it, and not only is it a safety issue for the resident, but also a safety issue for the business owner. If you exit his driveway, and he has vehicles parked to the east of his driveway, on the north side of the street, you can't see the cars coming down the
These are
hill.
vehicles he's putting there?
That these are vehicles he's putting there. There's 2 or 3 vehicles he puts there. I spoke to the business owner directly. So,
And there's a business across the street that the employees don't use their parking lot. They use the street
That's
parking.
the salon, right?
Right. Well, and then there's the nail place and the hair salon that they actually not, I guess not, the employees are not allowed to park in the back.
In the back.
Yeah.
Supposedly not allowed to park in the back, so they will park along that whole strip.
Would the, when we look at the chair of the police committee, do you want to have another opportunity to discuss this amongst yourselves with the chief?
No, we're going to have another committee meeting anyway on the topics, so something we can revisit.
Okay. That, will we consider it?
Sure. I mean, we have,
Sometimes maybe we can, I don't know how this works with property, but give them like some kind of mirror, and they back up, that they can actually see what's coming. Because I know in some of the, when I'm in Sussex County all the time, people are coming down this downturn, and they have a mirror on the other side, so they can see what's coming on either direction. That could be something in the short term.
I'd rely on the chief's expertise, whether he thinks that's an effective solution. So, okay, so what will...
I
we
actually
have pictures too,
Okay.
if anybody wants to see them,
Representation.
to kind of see what we're working with.
Can we keep those?
Sure.
Thank you. So the police committee will be taking another look at it.
Okay.
And with the chief.
Okay.
And then we'll,
And somebody will,
yeah, they'll get back to you.
It's just that east side,
Yeah.
it's just 2 spots in those.
I understand.
And I believe I drew it on there just so you can see on the last page as well. Sorry. I'll make it on the last page, I drew it out, just to see that sign.
And then if there's still, I don't know that, I wasn't present during the discussions of the police committee, but the police committee will have the option of presenting it to the full council as well. If there's no agreement internally, or it can always come before the full council. We'll get this resolved one way or another.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the initial public comment period. We'll move to approval of minutes. Council meeting minutes from January 16th, closed session minutes from February 6th, and closed session minutes February 13th. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Councilmember Parsons?
Abstain.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Segala?
Yes.
Council President Pizzella? Abstain. Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Okay. Go to professional reports from our department heads. Chief Francavilla?
Mayor Council, Chief Bob Francavilla. During the month of January, there were 84 check that, February. There were 84 dispatching shifts, all covered with non-sworn personnel, so no overtime occurred. We also had 232 motor vehicle stops, which resulted in 124 summonses, as well as 8 criminal arrests. This past month, Captain Smith, Councilman Horvath, American Legion Commander Phil Langer, and I completed our visits to the Korean War veterans to recognize them for their service to our country. So, thank you. I want to thank Freeholder Sullivan for recognizing all of our emergency services for their heroic actions on Kinnickamack Road. So I think that was well-deserved and well-received as well. This past month, we had a serious event on Catherine Court where there were charges of attempted murder for somebody, and that gentleman, the victim of that, is still paralyzed and on a breathing apparatus. And I'd like to thank the Westwood Police Department, Whipple Lake Police Department, as well as the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office for their quick response to arresting the individuals in that event. Next council meeting, I'm going to have Sergeant Tom Smith report on the Street Smart initiative that's going to be taking place in Westwood and Hillsdale. We're trying to see if we can come up with a joint initiative for that, but he'll report further on that as far as the details of that. And lastly, I'd like to thank Assemblywoman Holly Shapezi for putting together last night's forum on gun laws and school safety. I do believe it was attended by close to 100 people, I would imagine. You were in attendance to that. I think it was pretty well received. Decent panel, too, and good dialogue was given. So, anything else that you have for me?
Chief, do you know when the date of the pedestrian safety campaign is? Did they determine that? I thought there was they weren't sure.
There's no date on it yet.
There's no date on it.
Sergeant Smith will tell you exactly about that
Thank you.
next week. That's his baby he's working on. So, okay.
Chief, the only thing, because of all the parkland stuff, we all know that there's been a heightened sense among our schools. If you could just do a brief overview of what we have at the high school from a safety standpoint, the things that you do to keep our schools safe and secure.
Sure.
Just broad strokes, because we don't want to get stuff to bad guys.
No, I would only give broad strokes, never specifics. As a matter of fact, we're going to do a meeting here with some of the residents in the near future, and as well, it's always general broad strokes. Right now, currently, what we do just for daily activity patrol, our patrols do walkthroughs of the schools, at arrival time, dismissal times. They patrol around the schools as well as walkthroughs around the outside perimeters. We have a school resource officers at the high school. We have Class 3 specials who are armed security guards, but are under my command at the high school level, and there's talks of putting a Class 3 special in our middle school and elementary schools as well. Obviously, the school resource officer, you know my position on that. I think it's a valuable asset to our community between the assets he provides to the administration of the students. We do drills as far as lockdown drills with the high school as well as the middle school and the elementary schools. We've even been St. John's as well. We do active shooter drills. We do responses. We're doing a tabletop of practical exercises with all EMS in Hillsdale about how to respond to events like this. We also have plans in place for every school and business, and how do we respond to something like that? Because it's not only the schools, it can also happen at a business like King's or a shop, right? Or even a bank. But we have response plans for all that. Hopefully that answers your question.
I was just hoping,
Yeah.
because it's televised.
Sure, absolutely.
Everyone's sitting at home
Yeah.
for their benefit. I mean, you take an awesome,
Right.
proactive approach.
Right. Since I've taken over, I think we've been ahead of the game. I've always tried to get the surrounding agencies involved with Hillsdale and how to respond, how to respond to our incidents. I've yet to be asked to go to their towns and do that. But in Hillsdale, like you said, we're more proactive.
When you interact with Riverville at the high school, too.
Yes.
So I think we're doing everything that we can be doing.
Right. And we went over with the high school region and the local region about some of the things that they can do to harden their schools as well, which is in addition to all the response plans that we have.
And I wanted to thank you for your presentation last night, as well as that of Adam Hampton. But both of you did a fine job in terms of representing what we've done here in Hillsdale, and then just adding to the overall discourse and dialogue last night. I think it was good.
Right. Hopefully it helps.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Exactly. And anybody at home listening has a question for me, feel free to call me. I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
Okay.
Open book.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate it.
Okay. Borough Engineer Report? Chris?
Good evening, council. Good evening. First, I hope everybody will be safe tomorrow in the snowstorm. We'll try to play hooky from work if you can, except we bosses can't do that, unfortunately. Congratulate the town on receiving a $199,000 grant from the DOT to make pedestrian improvements on Piermont Avenue. The project actually has several locations. One is from Kindercamack down to Magnolia Avenue is our first primary area, but also down by the high school. We'll be going from Caffey Lane, I think it is, going east towards the Bible school and filling in that piece of sidewalk. Frank Mikulski for years had asked me to get that fixed for him. Finally we have the money to do that. Also, the police chief had mentioned there was always a problem at Piermont and Buckman Road, the corner there. When school children try to cross, they can't see around the corner. There's a big mound in the corner there. We're going to try to use some of this money to augment that as well as pedestrian improvements. We use the entire roadway as the grant application, so we can move some of the money around. 15% of the grant can be used to defray inspection costs for our office, which is always good. This project has to be awarded within 18 months of the award notice. We've got plenty of time to get the contract out. I'd like to get this out this summer and rope it in with our regular road program to sort of get a better dollar number if we can.
You know, the residents along Piermont, the north side, between Kindercamack and Magnolia, one or two of them have been vociferous in terms of, over the years, complaining about the lack of a sidewalk there. So this will address this?
Yes.
Yeah, because they've made it quite clear to me in different years.
I suspect there'll be some other residents in the same project area will have a 180-degree difference.
Because
they don't want
I know.
There's going to be a lot of disruptions here because we have a lot of retaining walls and trees, and it's not an easy area. Get a sidewalk through, we'll get it through, and it'll look fine when we're done. So I'm glad we have enough money, sort of gunpowder here to do the project correctly. So yes, so we'll see where this goes down the road. And maybe need some meeting, we have to do some meetings in-house with council or whatever committee to discuss with any residents who are concerned about it.
And the role of the county in this, that's a county road, is it not?
The county isn't involved in anything.
No involved?
Past the face of the curb, they're not involved.
Okay.
So, it'll look nice when it's done. It'll be an excellent addition. Plus, it'll be curb. There'll be a curb along it as well for the residents as well to protect their property. So, it's a win-win. We've also got, the county is also doing the ramps at the ends under their money for handicap accessibility as well. So, we're going to get those ramps done probably first and fill our piece in the middle then after that to extend our funding as much as we can. This application cost the borough about $1,200 to prepare for our office, and that's why you got to pay me. You're done. We have no contingency requirement for you to reimburse us from that. So congratulations again on the grant application. The train station contract is making good headway. JZA Enterprises. They were placing the tile floor this weekend and probably be sending the fixtures this week. They should be done by next week with the project. They're doing a good job. It's funny, you win the train station, not one door is plumb. You can't get any doors to close properly because, as we found again, the building is founded on railroad ties. There's no foundation under the building. It's 150 years old, it's doing pretty good. Wish my house was in this condition, but, so it's actually, when he was doing some work, he called me and said, I know, there's no foundation, just railroad ties, you have to work through it. But it's interesting, all the doors don't close, so we showed him. Anyway, so he'll be done, we'll make our April 1st deadline to get the reimbursement from the county for that. I'm working with John on the firehouse sanitary sewer. We're still working on plans for that, to replace that sewer line from the back of the firehouse out to Washington Avenue because of the, a couple of slumping pipes there, and this place joint as well. Hopefully we'll get the project out in April. On the way in April, John is going to solicit bids from several contractors and try to keep it within a threshold in which he can award. Public service at the substation, if you care, they're pouring about 2,000 yards of concrete up there for their new GIS building this next few weeks. So there'll be some noise from those concrete trucks. Plus they're processing their cooling oil that's up there. They're actually reprocessing it. And there is a generator running 24 hours a day, which was anticipated in the planning board application. So that's what's going on up there. It's still a busy place. We're still working on the swim club enclosure specifications. I was working with Michelle on some code compliant issues I've got to clean up sort of at the pump house. And I'm working with the heater company that supplies the heating system for that as well. So I'm trying to wrap this up as quickly as possible and get this back to the commission. In terms of grants, we're going to be doing a lot of county and local handicap ramps as well, both for the county road system and in the $30,000 we received from the county through the Community Development Grant Program. That's underway. We've already inspected, and then we're going to start drawing up plans to rebuild repair the band shell at the Beechwood Park. That's underway. And right now we have a couple grants that are outstanding with the county for CDGB. It's for handicap accessibility to Beechwood Park playground equipment as well as some of the park areas for 2018. That was submitted already. It's a $45,000 grant request. And Bergen County Municipal Open Space was $65,000 for work down in our downtown park for the War Memorial. And that's where we're at right now. It's a busy town, and it's going to be busier this spring and summer, that's for sure.
Do any of the council members have questions? Yes. Council President Pizzella.
Okay.
Oh, will you...
The band shell grant, that's been put out to bid?
No. We're just sketching up the repairs that the VA doing. It's not out to bid yet.
But we received the grant, right?
Correct. The grant agreement has been executed.
The grant agreement we received, yes.
We're doing the work.
We're doing the design work to get out the bid, put on the street for contractor to do the work.
When were we approved for the, when did we sign the?
When did you get the agreement, John? I don't know when you received it.
Wasn't it sometime last summer? Early?
No. The county had all the open space grants jammed up for almost a year. Yeah, that's right, this is in over, 2017, is not that old. We had no agreements, I don't think until this year, actually. I think maybe January.
When it was approved, I say in quarter four, probably.
Yeah.
The borough executed the grant agreement.
You're talking about the band shell repairs?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have all the towns, I've had grants on it, we've been holding up, waiting for the grant agreements to come through before we do anything, yeah.
And we're not out to bid on it because we're not doing the work until the spring?
Yeah, it'll be done in the spring, yeah, early spring. We want to get it done before.
That's not matching.
Open space is matching, you got to do 50/50 with that, yes.
Okay, so we received, what is it, 32?
32.5, so you'd have about 65,000.
65 was the amount, right?
Total
And
cost.
it's our intention to do this work, we're not going to.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
If you want the money for the grant, you got to do the work, yes.
It includes other upgrades as well, such as picnic tables, garbage cans, tree trimming, anything the borough is associated.
But the handicapped one that's also to be applied
The
against.
borough's not going to be awarded the handicap grant.
That's not.
Until later 18, according to the report, was from there.
Right, because that was recently submitted. You're not going to have that money, yes. Yeah.
No, the borough's not going to be awarded that grant.
You know that already. Oh,
We're not getting
that
the
news?
We're not getting the
We're not
CDBG
getting it.
45,000? Really? Okay.
Did they tell why? Did they explain why?
We can discuss it later.
Was it a decision that they made, or was it a decision that was made here that we wouldn't want the grant?
For a Bergen County Community Development Block Grant, the way our subregion is structured, it's to remove architectural barriers. So, for example, in the bathroom in the train station, is to remove the barriers to make it ADA compliant. Putting in an ADA playground, from what I was told, is not eligible for the program.
I would argue that. I would argue that because if you're handicapped, the equipment is not barrier-free. It is architecturally, impairment.
So did we walk away from the process, or was the application simply denied?
I was given a phone call from the county. I have not received official notification yet. That was it.
I'm confused. The reason why I bring this up is because Chris and I spoke last night, and during the Access for All Committee, one of the things that the committee members wanted to do was pursue this playground, and they wanted it to be a blue playground because not only could your average children use it, but also autism.
Oh, blue.
Children with autism could also use it. And so Chris seemed to believe it was submitted and that we were just going to wait for it. And so I'm surprised to hear that now we are definitely not getting it. But it doesn't, it just sounded as though you don't know for sure that we're not getting it. I'm just trying to understand, are we applying for this grant? Have we applied? And if we are applying for it, were we denied? Are we going to be denied? Do we know for sure that we've been denied?
Or have we withdrawn?
Or have we withdrawn?
The best thing is that I'll give the mayor and council a full written report on it, either by next meeting or the following meeting. The application was submitted. I received a phone call from the county. It's not going to be eligible. So I will confirm that though in writing with the county.
We could talk to Angela Drake ourselves as well, because sometimes you can twist the application a little bit to make it eligible. If there's something she doesn't think it's eligible, sometimes you can make a modification to the application that makes it eligible.
Right. I mean, there might be something in the application that worded a different way might make it eligible.
Right. Yes. You're absolutely right, because I did an application in Rivervale for some CDG money, and I had to change literally one word in the application. She called me and said, well, you have to change this word because you're not eligible. I said, one word, I changed the word in the application, we submitted it back to her, and that's how the grant was approved. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been approved for this. I forgot the word was.
How would we figure that out? Is that something you'd reach out on, Mr.
Yes, yeah. And I think John would have to get on the phone as well, because, I'm just a town engineer, but coming from, and then maybe the mayor can call up the director and skip past Angela and say, look, this is ridiculous. If the playground equipment is a barrier to handicapped children, it's an architectural barrier. I'm sorry, but they can't use it. So we're just augmenting it by supplementing with additional equipment.
What about if it were a blue playground, which is something that attracts children with autism because of the color and what have you? Now you're creating access for children and not creating a barrier.
I would agree with that too. Yes.
An option we do have, though, because as we said, we've been awarded the $32,500 grant. We could do up to $65,000 worth of work in Beechwood Park. So you would have to prioritize as the governing body, through myself and the engineer, what you'd like accomplished.
That's
Based on prior discussion.
That's as an alternative. If we didn't get the 45, you could take some of the, or all of the 65 and apply it to the purposes that...
If you don't get the grant, or you can...
The best is if you get it, right?
Not to pursue the grant.
Why would we not pursue?
I'm trying to get an understanding of what we've done, what we're doing, and what decisions have been made and what we're doing.
You would want to appeal the verbal decision at this point that the grant doesn't provide eligible improvements. You're right.
So let me make sure I understand. We submitted an application.
Right.
In December.
Right. Correct.
Then this month. I'm looking at February. We got a call.
I received a phone.
Okay. And they said it's not eligible. Did they say why?
Based on what I just said, based on our sub-region, you're not removing architectural barrier.
Okay. And do we have the opportunity to convince them otherwise?
We'll take the recommendation of our engineer.
I would try. John, I think we should try.
We're not out of time. We can still do that.
Yes.
And we can do that orally. We can do that orally.
Yes.
Follow it up with something in writing.
Or John, I could get down and see Angela and the director himself.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
I think it's always worth a try to go back and say, look, let's restructure the application a little differently, what is it you don't like?
Right, because as I understand it, we're not out of time, we could still amend the application.
The county tells us it's
Yeah.
Right.
Just to be clear, who did we hear from?
Angela Drake,
Great.
Okay, this was
Bergen County
yesterday?
Community Development,
This was yesterday, or this was February? I'm sorry.
last month, February.
I wasn't aware of that, I didn't know you received a call from Angela, okay. She's the assistant director, there's also a director above her that actually runs this, Zeta runs the
So,
department.
Mr. Steele, you weren't aware until now?
Just now, I told you just now with you guys. Because if John just got a phone call, we didn't, nothing in
Our
writing.
official denial.
No, I just wanted to understand when Mr. Steele first became aware of this, because he took the time to put in his report that we'd be looking to get him approved at the end of the year, and
Yeah.
I imagine, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I want to be fair to Mr. Steele as well.
Yeah, but I think we should definitely, it's always worth going back to the well. It
And
does-
you're going to work with John
Absolutely.
and see if we can, and then report back and let us know if we could, and if we could, what you did to,
Or how much would she give us, et cetera. She may say, well, this is eligible, that's, we did a bathroom in Hallworth, and out of $25,000, they gave me $12,000. I said, well, we'll pay for this, you pay for that. We went back and forth, they finally gave me $12,000 to do a bathroom. Well, you got $75,000, we got 12 in Hallworth, so, depends. Sure.
And that 45 grant was not a matching, right?
That's not a matching grant, no.
Straight, okay.
There's no matching that. And that's federal money, that's federal HUD money, actually.
HUD money.
Because I just have one more question. I think I've asked this before, but the open space grant for Veterans Park, that is a matching grant.
That's matching. Open
The
space,
borough has not committed. We said that the American Legion would be doing that match, correct? Because it says here the borough, I just want to clarify that we're not going to be on the hook for
the
this.
borough normally is responsible. I'm not sure who's going to contribute to it. Doesn't have to be the borough, it could be anybody, but yes.
No, but based on the discussions that were held at the time that Rich Karen presented, it was clear at the time that
it was not.
there would be a grant from the government, and that the American Legion would provide the funds. There would be no funds from the taxpayers of Hillsdale.
Right, I just wanted to reiterate that because it does
Right.
say the borough would match in this report.
I'm sorry, I'm not privy to all those conversations.
I mean, you have to put it in there like that because.
That's fine, I wasn't aware of that.
I just don't want any resident to read it and think that.
A match is required. Very good, thank you. And you don't have to spend all 65,000. You could spend 30,000 and match 30,000, or whatever you want to match.
Although it's not in your report, Mr. Steele, are we due for upcoming testing on Centennial?
We've done the 3 required tests, we've already done them already for the first quarter. Groundwater came back with a couple of constituents, manganese, iron, some sodium due to obviously road salts, and arsenic, which is not uncommon in groundwater, it's naturally occurring. Slam bar tests, which monitor the methane at the surface, that came back identical to the prior reports. We get a couple hits around the field house normally because it's an impediment for the gas to come out. And then we did the air quality testing with the big scope sticking up, and they found nothing except methane, and there's no requirements for methane at the state level, so it's doing its job, that did nothing. So those are all done, and we're in March now, so the next rounds are coming up right now.
Thank you.
When is the next round?
March, every quarter,
Every quarter.
Yes.
So the quarter that you just talked about was the December
January,
quarter?
Yeah, it was December, January, yeah,
Okay.
whenever they get out there. Because some of them are weather dependent, they can't always be there exactly, a week of the quarter, they may be a week one way or the other.
This would give us 4 consecutive quarters, however, of testing, correct?
Yeah,
in the year?
yes, is it 4 now? I guess, I don't remember if we have 4 now consecutive, just one last year. Should be 4, that's right, yeah, about
So
right.
this may present some opportunity, correct, for a discussion?
Absolutely, yes.
Terrific.
We're not seeing anything different than I saw 10 years ago in the landfill. Nothing is remarkable. We get the same water, the same thing out of the water, same iron, manganese, arsenic. These are the same repeating elements. It's the same stuff I have in my drinking water in Mawa.
Right, but now we have uninterrupted
Right,
testing over
exactly.
one calendar year period, or
For different, right,
12-month period.
because the weather conditions change as we take the test, from summer to winter to spring. So that's in the works, yes. We're going to definitely make the pitch. Save some money then if you can. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Just on the pedestrian improvements, Kinnick to Magnolia,
corner of Brookman and Piermont, and then Kathy to the Bible Church, or Kathy to Everdell?
Kathy to the Bible Church. It's just missing, because there's a crossing guard there, I think. It's Cottage, I'm sorry, thank you, Cottage. Yeah, there's a crossing guard there, and Chip Stoltz always wanted to bring the children down opposite the high school across, not mid-block like that's a little dangerous. So that's what we're hoping to do that, yep. And I think the 200,000 is plenty to get all that done.
Okay.
Any further questions? Thank you, Chris. Committee reports. Let's go in reverse order. Council President Pizzella. You're not ready? You want me to go on?
So, economic development, the committee has completed the interview process regarding the redevelopment planner, and the committee will be making a recommendation to council as to which planner to go with, and a determination will more than likely be made at the next meeting on the 13th. I've asked the borough attorney to update the resolution for redevelopment in the industrial area, because usually resolutions not acted upon go stale after a year. And that will be on the agenda for the 13th to be voted on as well. For transit, John has been, the borough administrator has been trying to get us a date with New Jersey Transit, and we heard back from Mr. Del Calle that he's going to be providing us with some dates. We need to meet with them because we want to see if they're going to contribute to the grant, and also we want their buy-in on a historic architect that we have to get, which is the first step in getting that roof repaired. Also, waste management. I will be meeting with Gail Gordon on Thursday, and we're going to be working on some documentation that is necessary to get us into the governor's office on the topic of getting rid of waste management. And I mentioned this to the mayor, and I'm going to also bring it up now. I'd like to talk to council and suggest that our marketing committee and the other members of economic development work together on this grassroots effort. There's going to be a lot of to-do items, and we're going to need some help. I also think that this is the single most important thing that is impacting Hillsdale and will impact our future, and I think that we all have to get involved and work together like we did when we appeared at Aztec Valley. And I think the website needs to be updated, and I believe that the mayor has been really holding the fort down, and I appreciate that. And he's also been covering for me because was out of commission for a few weeks for professional reasons. And I just think that we all need to get together and figure out who's going to do what. I mean, even just writing a template letter that we can put on the website that a resident could use to model their letter after. I mean, having one template letter there is okay, but, you know, having 6 different types of letters would be better. And I think, you know, we have to get back on the petition. There's a lot of things that go into a grassroots effort to sort of deal with a very large company like Waste Management. So I want you to know that I'm going to be asking at least the marketing committee at this point and the other members of economic development to help. And when I meet with Gail, we're going to get more detailed in our strategy or our strategic plan, and we're going to start to divvy out assignments. Access to all. This is a new committee. It's been around for over a year, but what the committee is for, it started with the county, and the county then asked the towns in Bourbon County if he would be interested in creating an Access for All committee within our town. And what Access for All does is it looks around the town and it tries to create improved access for those with disability, adults, children, all different types of disabilities. And we had a really good meeting last night. We had one prior, but we're going to count last night as our first meeting. And Councilman DeRosa has been really helpful in getting our mission statement done and is going to be doing the website. And we decided that we would pursue bringing back the Roll for Clover. Now, we're not going to call it the Roll for Clover because that was done around St. Patrick's Day, and that's coming up. But we're going to call it some sort of Rover something. And we're going to have some guide dogs and that sort of thing, and it's going to be a 5K walk with the dogs, and that's going to be the fundraiser. And I already mentioned how we discussed one of our projects could be this blue playground at Beechwood for children with autism, which would also allow other children to play there. And then one last item that we decided that we would put forward is there's sort of questionnaires that a person who is disabled would fill out, and then it would be linked to the police records so that the police would know if there is a disabled person in that home, what they have, and that would that information would get to them before they left to go to the home, so they would already be prepared and aware. And anything else I have is have to be brought up and closed. I haven't met the Environmental Commission yet, so we don't have anything. Historic preservation, though, I'm trying to. Do we have a monthly meeting set up yet? Historic preservation is it
The last I heard is that Sean Smith I think I saw an email that he canceled tomorrow's meeting of the Historic Preservation Committee.
Just for purposes, all state courts and offices are closed tomorrow,
Yeah.
so other closures would be a shocker.
And if you want to get on Sean, I would say the best suggestion would be just email Sean and tell him to include you on it.
Okay, and then the last two planning board meetings were canceled. So that's it, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay. Councilman Segal?
Believe it or not, I'll be brief. The fire department continues to aggressively train their cadets. Last night, I watched a number of the cadets and the fire personnel practice a mock-up of actually a rebuild of a portion of a house where a fireman was killed last year in Colorado, to reenact the actual unavoidable types of circumstances that often come up, particularly when fire personnel are responding to fires in houses such as capes or whatnot, where they have the dormer-style windows, etc. I'll be providing, I hope, at one of our upcoming meetings, a PowerPoint to illustrate it. I'd encourage any council person or member of the public to reach out to the fire department. The department does these exercises early in the month on the first Monday, and they're really quite educational and valuable because they really put in perspective the amount of care and training that goes into people volunteering to put their lives on the line for everyone in town. With respect to any other items, I will reserve comment until the next meeting. Thank you.
I have a question for you. 2 months ago, I guess, it was the chief and I talked about what we could do to stimulate their marketing program to attract new members during the day, a difficult thing to be sure. And I told him that he should have that discussion with the fire committee. I just wanted to see if that, if the fire committee, has it been approached?
Yeah, there's been some preliminary discussion, and it's something that we actively wish to address, and we may have to actively involve the BA in that as well, because it could involve some diverting of town resources in order to make it functional.
Right, that's the question of whether DPW workers can shift over, right?
Correct. I mean, ultimately, the hope was to have DPW personnel who are willing to be trained during the summer, and, basically on work time in order to permit them to be available in the event of a call during the day, which would help to minimize calls for service from out of town. The cost to the borough, if we had to go to a paid-for fire department, would probably equal, if not exceed, the police budget, if you want to put it in perspective. So anything we can do internally to minimize it seems to make sense, and we've started having it.
Right, his comments encompass that, but went more broadly to what else could the fire committee do to market and to attract, advertise. So the first issue I was aware of. It was the second issue I was curious as to whether anything's developed on that. Because I did put myself out in terms of being willing to say things, write things, advertise, and I haven't heard anything.
I heard from the chief, but I'm glad to be hearing from you now that you're interested in the process. I think it's
Yeah.
a very good
Okay.
dialogue to have, and I look forward to working with you.
Well, yeah, I just worked through it was the chief who approached me, and I told him, and I advised him to start with the fire committee, and I haven't heard anything from that, so.
No, I appreciate you
Yeah.
mentioning this, because again, this is the first discussion that you
Okay.
have had on the issue.
All right, then, if you wouldn't mind having your committee then take that up with the chief. If if he doesn't think that that's the right direction to go in, that's fine, but I just would like some closure to it. Councilwoman Lundy.
Okay. I'll start with the library. The library board is meeting next week, but I can tell you that tomorrow, due to the impending forecast, the library is closed. Saturday is New Jersey Makers Day, so please stop by the library. They always do a phenomenal job on Makers Day, and there are many activities that residents and children can go participate in. There's a seed starting, there's a test track, spin art, a pen turning workshop, and a lot of the makers who show up have a lot of activities that they've been working on that you can participate in judging in the Makers Day. Also, the pool commission is also meeting next week, so I don't have a full report on that, but if you saw today's Pascat Press, page 27 has the whole write-up on the upcoming fees, rates, open houses, opening dates. So take a look at that. The rates have not changed for the 2018 season, which is a good thing, and we're looking forward to registration opening on the 12th. I'll have further reports.
Okay, and you can register online as well as in person, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the only exception, if I remember, is because of the way we've structured that small discount for Borough, and for employees, I think they cannot register online.
Correct.
They must come in, and so they probably already know this, they have to come in person.
Right.
Okay. Councilman Karsich.
Hey, Mayor. Recently, we had a police committee meeting where we were discussing funding of the SRO. Where we're at with that is we've kind of taken a wait-and-see approach with what the Board of Education comes back with when Councilman DeRosa met with the Board of Education, seeing what additional funding that the Pascack Valley School Board is going to present to the town regarding the SRO. We also discussed what the chief had given in his report this evening. And sorry for my voice. I'm still struggling with this chest thing that I just can't seem to kick. How we secure our schools, what the difference is between an SRO and a CLO3, and encouraging the chief, which I found very encouraging, that we're going to try to get a CLO3 at George White. And we also discussed a multitude of contract stuff we have upcoming at the police level, along with some of the requests the chief had made around road closures, one of which we approved and the other one we had not, which we discussed here. I'd just like to add some comments, being that I was the DPW liaison for 2 years and the fire liaison for 2 years. I have big concerns with having our DPW workers also be fire department officers at the same time, just around the training, that we would have these guys take 5 weeks off of Borough time to get trained. I'm not against them if they want to become members of the fire department, if they're doing it on nights and weekends, but I don't, knowing that some of the guys that work for us don't live in town, the incentive isn't there, so I would really persuade the fire department to try to use marketing efforts like the mayor had said to try to raise membership. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilman Horvath?
I have a couple of brief reports. The DPW report. Congratulations to Mr. Hafler on being selected for the position of DPW Superintendent for the Borough of Hillsdale. We look forward to you reporting for work on April 1st, 2018. We have been advised that the DPW will handle the next snowstorm as efficiently and thoroughly as they have in the past. Would you like to add something to that, John?
Due to the impending snowstorm and the state of emergency, garbage collection for tomorrow is going to be postponed until Thursday, and Thursday's garbage collection will be postponed until Friday. An email blast was sent out today. Also, recycling collection will stay standard as Friday.
Thank you. Senior report. There will be no buses available on Wednesday due to the impending snow event. Wednesday and Thursday. And Wednesday and Thursday, I'm sorry, yes. We hope to get back on schedule with all the planned activities very soon. All will be notified if there are any further changes. I have the Historic Preservation Committee, a small report on that. The Historic Preservation Committee is making good progress with plans and has started some very worthy projects. I will hope to share some of the details with you in the next Mayor and Council meeting. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman DeRosa.
Okay, so the Regional Board of Education, that's Pascack Hills, Pascack Valley. Without revealing a lot of details for security reasons, the board reassured several parents at their last meeting in the audience that there are multiple levels of security in place at both schools and that they are moving to enhance what's already there. Just prior to that public meeting, the chiefs of police from Hillsdale and Montvale also met with the board in closed session to further discuss security matters. Students sent letters to Parkland, Florida after the tragic shooting there in support of those students and that community. We mentioned the wrestling team. I mentioned the dance team who will win a national competition in Florida. We'll recognize them next month. And the PB softball team Shamrock 5K run is this Sunday, March 11th, starting at Stony Brook. There's still time to enter. You can check the Borough site or the Pascack Valley High School website. The local Board of Education, again, that's Meadowbrook, Smith, and George White. They welcome the new superintendent schools. His name is Robert Lombardi. He is the present principal at Wolcott Lake. That position's been open for some time. That's because the board actually had a first round of interviews with candidates, and they did not find someone who they felt was a good match. So, to their credit, instead of just settling, they went through another round, and they have selected Mr. Lombardi. I credit the board for waiting to get the right person, and if excitement and enthusiasm is any indication of Mr. Lombardi's other skills, they picked a good one. The board also welcomed back acting superintendent Jeffrey Pfeiffer, who returned for a health issue. Thanks to him for fulfilling the position and not just and also actively making improvements. He just wasn't a placeholder there. He will remain until July to help transition Mr. Lombardi. The current board's administrator, Lyrica Garcia, was awarded the New Jersey Association of School Business Officials Distinguished Service Award. This honor is given to recognize long-term continuous exemplary service. She was only 6 awardees of 650 out of the state. She's a real, constantly on top of everything. She's a real asset to that board. A remodel of the White School Media Center is about 65% complete, and as a couple of people mentioned, there is talk of a Class 3 security officer in the middle school at George White. They also unfortunately passed on some sad news that the board recognized the passing of Melanie Freeman. She was the Meadowbrook school nurse. She's battling cancer. Unfortunately, she lost that battle. Principal Bell described her by saying, simply put, she was one of the toughest and kindest people we knew. On the ambulance service, they are finalizing their budget, and they are optimistic that they will be securing and purchasing a new ambulance this year. There will be a fundraiser called Dining for Dollars at Del Monte Restaurant in Hillsdale. That will be Monday and Tuesday, March 19th and 20th, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. All proceeds from dine-in, not takeout. Dine-in proceeds, 20% will be donated to the ambulance corps on those 2 days. That's March 19th and 20th. The ambulance service is also working on a recruitment presentation for high school students to kind of court younger members into the fold. Just a reminder that the ambulance service will be having a beef steak dinner, in May, and I'll give you more details on that. The Rec Commission, the mobile fingerprinting unit that we were hoping would be able to come to Hillsdale has turned out to be just more trouble than it would relieve. So we're not going to do that here. The stipulations were the borough had to take care of scheduling. It couldn't be done online. It was only going to be like half a day on a weekday, and that really didn't help a lot of families. So the regimen is still, you go online and you have to go to Paramus, but they're open on Saturdays, they're open evenings. So there's no reason why if you're coaching in Hillsdale, you should not have your fingerprints done, along with 4 other safety items that you require. The date for the Fall Festival, formerly Town Day, is Saturday, September 15th, and the Rec Commission was also prepping for the Easter egg hunt, which is on March 24th. The Recognition and Naming Committee was due to have our first official meeting tomorrow, of course, and because of the weather, we've canceled that. But looking forward to getting that going, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Anthony. I just wanted to let you and the council know, too, that I reached out to Mr. Pfeiffer to ask if he set up an a meeting session between myself and the new superintendent. It's something that I think mayor should do, so I want to get to know the fellow.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
All right, thank you. I guess before we go on to another item, I always struggle as to where I want to put things. I think this committee report is probably right. I want to say 2 things. A reminder, the farm, Denver's Farm needs to, I think we're waiting for an operations plan from them, and I don't believe we received it yet. So that was just one reminder for the council that we have not seen anything. Right, and that is something that I think would probably be communicated from attorney to attorney.
I will take care of it.
All right. Second reminder is we have a scholarship review panel. I'm working with Anthony to identify people who can review this. I think I have a council volunteer tonight who I leaned on, but it's a scholarship it's awarded at the state level, and we're looking for a professional, an elected official. I think there's 2 other types of individuals. I've got names, someone from a voluntary board, and I've got a couple of names I'm going to pursue, but that will be done, I guess, in the next week, because I'm told tonight that we've got to start moving and get that panel.
Get deadlines next Friday.
Yeah, for the students to submit their essays next Friday.
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully if I tap you on the shoulder and I ask you, please be considerate and say yes if I ask you to review these essays. Finally, the railroad crossing. I've noticed, I guess you have too, you cross that Hillsdale Railroad crossing, you get quite a jar as you come across Hillsdale Avenue heading east or west. I got an email that says summer is the most likely time that they're going to be doing this repair. Maybe it'll be somewhat earlier, so I just wanted to let the council know that if you felt the jar and you've wondered what was going on, there is some plan to fix it, as well as, John, is it also true they're going to work on the other crossings at Park?
I asked them to look at all the crossings. We did not get the greatest response from transit, other than they're going to look at it.
On the others, but they promised to do Hillsdale Avenue, correct?
The way the email read was they're going to try to do it by the summer.
But it will be done.
Yeah, there was some, John and I met with the New Jersey, we met with New Jersey Transit to discuss this at length. They're doing some traffic studies in-house themselves first, and they want to come back and talk with the borough regarding all the crossings in town. They'd like to get them all done at one time.
But they told us that back in the September timeframe, and they wanted us to close streets, if I remember.
They weren't ready to...
As part of their
Yeah.
remediation, and there was no appetite around the table to do that, if I recall. And the outcome, as I remember it, was that, okay, we'll do just Hillsdale Avenue. We'll do that. We may do one other, but we're going to do at least
aware
Hillsdale.
of that.
And it's getting to the point where it's getting extremely rough to go over Hillsdale Avenue now.
Because I called them, we're doing Route Crossing in Holworth. We had a meeting, a state meeting over there. I said, well, I want to take you over to Hillsdale now. And we went over to, and he's okay. And then that's how we sort of got the ball rolling over here, because that was last year. But you got to kind of keep me in the loop with New Jersey Transit, because I deal with them on other matters every day. I didn't know you already had discussions about the closures, which is fine. I'm glad you discussed it, because I wasn't sure who knew about that or not, you know.
It did come up during that conversation 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And the police were there, and no one was enthralled with the idea.
Okay, all right.
So, whatever you can do to move that process along, I sent an email, John has as well. We're trying to get the thing done before the summer if they can, because it is getting, you can see it when you go over the crossing.
The rubber's got to be pulled up.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
great. All right, thank you. No new business, correspondence, none.
I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
I was approached by some residents, because I don't know if they approached me in their way of being on a committee or if they were a resident, and they introduced me to a resolution that's been going around the county regarding gun control, and they wanted me to find out if the council would be interested, or if the council has an appetite to introduce some sort of resolution or ordinance showing their support for gun control. I can submit the draft that was given to me. I'm just curious as to how you all feel about that.
I think I would need more information.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry?
I can send you all the draft that was sent to me.
Okay.
I can say that I'd rather not have a knee-jerk reaction with all the emotion that's going on. From my perspective, people are just going after guns versus looking at the whole issue of what's been happening with our schools, especially down in Parkland. In Parkland, if you're looking at it from an unbiased view, it was just a complete failure of law enforcement, not necessarily an individual gun situation. In New Jersey, we've got some of the toughest gun laws in the country, so I don't know what else a little Borough of Hillsdale could add to what else New Jersey has to offer when it comes to gun control laws. That's my...
Yeah, these types of requests come up periodically from different groups. We had, over the last 3 years, we've had the LG, we had the fracking, we had licenses for illegal immigrants. Just last month, no, I guess it was earlier this month, I had a PSE&G, a resolution to support opposing the increase, proposed increase that PSE&G wants to put on us to support their nuclear plants. And I guess the screen that I would advise the council, it's the council's decision, but the screen I've always advised the council to apply is if it's something that we have direct power over, and that it affects Hillsdale, then consider it. But if it's something that is a national or state issue that is probably going to be addressed in some manner, shape, or form by governments higher than us, then I'd rather not get the council involved in it and run the risk of polarizing as the political climate is so ripe to be done here, to polarize our residents.
That's what, so this is asking us to sign a resolution opposing congressional bill pending in Senate called the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act of 2017, House Bill 38 S.446, or the CCRA.
Why don't you send it around to us, and then we'll have a chance to look at it before the next council meeting, and then you can decide what you want to do with it. Anything else on new business? Okay. Just on discussion, just for this e-cigarettes and vaping, the Board of Health, Barbara DeCaro approached me several weeks ago about a resolution that Mawa was, I think it was Mawa was considering. And to make a long story short, she agreed to go back to the Board of Health to explore what was reasonable for us to do, because this resolution not only captured e-cigarettes and vaping, but it captured prohibiting any retail establishment selling cigarettes, selling e-cigarettes for vaping, and also took a stand against marijuana. So I said that was just premature because the state hasn't decided what it's going to do. So Mrs. DeCaro said that she would explore more what was happening in Mawa and then get back to, I told her to get back to Councilman Segalis because he's the liaison. So anyway, that's just for your information. And then the water fountain donation, I guess, John, you are most up to date on that, although I think I know a lot about it. So go ahead if you want to.
Rosemary D'Alessandro is requested to install a fountain in the current planting area of the bed there. There's a copy of the wiring diagram that shows what area in the planting bed it's going to go. The electric will be pulled off the train station. She's already reached out to New Jersey Transit to obtain approval from them for that. If the mayor and council so choose to approve it, New Jersey Transit would want that approval, and as well as what was done a few years ago to install the monument and the garden. Bergen County also approved it, so I advise the mayor and council, if they're inclined to approve it, that we approve it subject to Bergen County and New Jersey Transit approval.
It's not an additional space, as I understand it, that is being taken. It's substitution on the garden side of the monument. She's moving some plants and putting I guess it's a fake rock with a fountain that comes out of it. It's a small rock. She described it as is it real rock with a pipe drilled through it? Okay. It's approximately in circumference about 2 feet. In diameter, 2 feet, with water that comes out of it. There'll be a couple of lights that focus in on the water. It does need to draw the electricity from New Jersey Transit's building, and she's gotten New Jersey Transit approval. She's looking for our approval, and I believe she still needs county approval, and she understands that. We think. Yeah.
So choose to move forward with approving it.
Mayor, during our police committee meeting, the police have some concerns about this. That it could be a vandal issue, issues with people coming out of the bar that's there from their experience. Other towns that have had like water features that are that close, they would rather that not be there. From that perspective, just food for thought.
It also looks like a dangerous situation. Kids playing on it, it will be slippery.
They won't, when you see if you saw the picture, yeah, you have it. I'm not, I suppose it's...
With the police committee, what they told me is some other towns that had fountains like this, kids had put in high concentrated dish detergent and foamed up the whole road, but they had to have a road closure.
It's actually in Hillsdale, on Kindercommack, that happened.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm not aware.
The Golden
Golden
Dynasty,
Dynasty, yeah.
So this is something to think about.
If they're going to be hacking into the electric service panel in the train station, you're going to have to get an electrical permit.
That's all discussed.
That was discussed, Chris, I think.
Michelle doesn't issue it. It's going to be issued by the DCA.
That's all discussed.
Okay, they know, because it's a big...
It is, I was amazed,
process.
yes. I was amazed at how long the process is. It was...
I can help shortcut it with the chief engineer at New Jersey Transit, like we did for the bathrooms. There's sketch approvals we can get done through pretty quickly if they really want to pursue it, when you guys decide. Let me know, I can get in and help you.
So from the electrical technical side, it can be done, but I'm hearing now for the first time that there are some other concerns that we should focus on before we approve it. So,
Is there a plan for supplying water? Is there a plan for supplying water?
It's self-contained.
Well, it's self-contained, but how does the water, are they going to walk in with a bucket every couple of days and fill it up?
yeah, and the other concern was who's going to maintain it in the future, and basically it's the foundation, the members of the foundation, which is basically her family, her 2 sons, and whoever else is in the foundation I'm not aware of. So I sense you want some time to think about it before then, and then we can make a decision before the next meeting. Are you prepared to render a decision today? Would you rather more time to...
I think there's going to be some vigorous debate on the issue. I see it up for discussion, but not for a vote. Am I mistaken?
She wants our approval.
Right, wouldn't we need to pass a resolution then? Is that approval, Mr. Counsel?
Yes, we have to, and we could add a resolution at any point, of course, if people wanted to move forward, but we would require a resolution, especially if we're going to give a resident permission to do something.
Okay. Yeah, that was the question I did have. Okay. Do you want another week to think about it and then discuss it amongst ourselves?
Wouldn't the time for debate be when the resolution is before the council?
Yeah. When is she looking to actually do it, on April?
I believe for April, yes.
So,
That would be next week then.
yeah. Yeah, and it should be done in open, because I don't think there's anything that's, yeah. Yeah, is that the council's desire? Create a resolution, put it on the agenda for next week, and discuss it next week?
Or we can discuss it now while here.
Right.
Well, it would be important I think, for the public to know that the issue is up for discussion. This is something that's important to at least a number of members of the public. I hate to deprive them of that opportunity.
Because of support in the community.
Or maybe opposition, I don't know, but I think
Mhm.
we have a noted, just fundamentally, I think it would be more fair to provide that notice, which anyone else otherwise would have, a resolution or before council for consideration, that's all, but I'm only one person.
No, that's a reasonable comment.
So, just personally, I'm not here next week, so I would welcome the opportunity to have another week to think about it, but since I'm not, my initial reaction is, it just seems as though there's a lot of literal moving parts to it that seem to be safety issues, that seem to be maintenance issues, that right now, without having a little bit more discussion on it, I'm leaning towards perhaps some other type of object that doesn't really have as many parts to it. Water, electricity, so, yeah, again, because I'm not here next week, that's just my 2 cents right now.
Well, if there's no other comments, I'd suggest to our council then that we do create a resolution. This gives us an opportunity to think about it. It gives the opportunity for the members of the foundation to come before us next week to talk about it.
That's a good idea.
And I then can, either John or I can get back to Rosemarie D'Alessandro, let her know that this isn't something that the council is immediately going to approve. They need to hear further discussion. We have some issues to take up, and we'll come to a decision at the next meeting, which is on.
How large it's going to be?
Yeah, it's very small. It's basically a rock this big. Did you see the picture?
Yeah, it looks like a bird bath.
It does, except it's very low. And the water's coming out from the rock. It disseminates on the sides of the rock and then gets recycled this way. It's not a big footprint, but the issue of safety and the issue of attracting,
It's within an existing space, though, it's not...
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, it's not taking any additional space. She's I think, moving some plants, and this is going to replace it. So, okay, so Counselor, if you would...
We'll prepare a resolution and...
Okay. Excellent. Okay. And I think, Anthony, you've already addressed oh, no, sorry, this is the renaming of the Recreation Commission. This is an issue that...
Minor issue, really, just in name. The Recreation Commission was formed and known as Recreation Commission. However, when you read the ordinance, their purview is actually over all the parks. So it would be most appropriate to rename them Parks and Recreation Commission, and as simple as that sounds, it actually requires amending the ordinance.
So no change in function of the Rec Commission is anticipated at this point?
No, I still, before the year's out, will probably suggest a little bit more robust language based on some exemplary ordinances from other municipalities that actually the borough attorney has shared with me a while back. So, just enhancing some of the powers that they have right now.
Okay, do you want to, can you wait, before we take the name change up, do you want to package that together?
It would make the most sense. It would take me a little bit of time to do that. Sure, we can wait.
And I'm just suggesting that for efficiency's sake, that rather than go through a name change the code, if we're going to do something that's tied in directly with that, maybe it's best if we just combine it.
All right.
That's okay. All right. Thank you. Updating on the composition of the recognition committee. I think you were going to meet, and then the snowstorm has prevented you from doing that. Okay, so I think that's...
I think last meeting I reported on the makeup of that.
Okay. It's still in the works?
Yes. Okay. 7 of us, everyone who had asked to volunteer agreed, so we just...
Okay. Next is a public comment period, so I'll open up the meeting to public comment if anyone wishes to come to the podium. Seeing no one, we'll move on to resolutions. I'll read them on the consent agenda. R18060, resolution refunding of tax payment, 80 Broadway, Suite 102. R18061, resolution authorizing the payment of $4,500 to the Fair Share Housing Center in accordance with the settlement agreement. R18062, resolution authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement for the establishment of the public safety answering point telephone system by and between the Borough of Paramus and the Borough of Hillsdale. R18063, resolution authorizing the Borough Clerk to advertise for a hook lift roll-off truck and all the associated equipment for that vehicle. Resolution 18064, awarding the payment of 2017 LoSAP benefits to eligible members of the Volunteer Ambulance Service. R18065, resolution awarding the payment of 2017 LoSAP benefits to eligible members of the Fire Department. R18066, resolution expressing opposition to the S5 tax generative bill in its current form. R18067, resolution authorizing the appointment of Keith Dury as a licensed sewer operator for the Borough of Hillsdale and authorizing the mayor and borough clerk to execute an employment agreement on behalf of the Borough of Hillsdale with Mr. Dury to serve as a licensed sewer operator. R18068, resolution of recommendation of utilizing the services of the Shade Tree Department, LLC, for a forestry management plan that includes a windshield and tree survey of all the borough rights-of-way. R18069, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into and sign an agreement for the cooperative purchasing of electric and gas services through the Education Services Commission of New Jersey. R18070, resolution to hire Schwanwade Hals Engineering for surveying and engineering services on a portion of Lot 14 on Block 715 to determine suitability for construction for possible donation to Habitat for Humanity. This is the donation of the property that's specified in the Fair Share Housing Corporation agreement. Would anyone like any of these pulled for discussion?
I make a motion to table R18066 until our next meeting, which is only 7 days away, and that's it.
Okay. I had the motion to table.
Are you-
He needs to vote, right?
Well, we're going to pull it off the consent agenda, and so if the mayor wants to call for a vote on the consent agenda, sans 18066, that would then be off the consent agenda, and then, Councilman, you can make whatever motion you'd like to it, including, I don't know if you want to actually say formally table, but perhaps just carry to the next meeting would certainly be fine as well. Whatever you're comfortable with, Councilman.
Either is fine.
All right, so Mayor, I think the appropriate step then would be to call for a motion on the resolutions.
Except-
Sans 18066.
And, if we could call for a separate vote on 061, I'd appreciate it. That's before we take-
So that one will be pulled too, no?
Okay, so sans those,
Okay.
and then we'll go.
Actually, could we just pull 068 just for clarification?
068.
We're going to pull 061, 068, and
066.
066.
Yeah.
And we'll handle those off consent.
Right. Okay, so this is a vote on all the resolutions except the three that the attorney just mentioned, ending in 61, 66, and 68.
Correct.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Segalas?
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
Yes.
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Councilmember Carthage?
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll go to the ones that were pulled. For further, I guess, 6-1 is the one on the $4,500 payment to Fair Share Housing. Motion to, does anyone want to discuss this first, or?
Right now, you have a motion to, is it to
It was-
move it to next week, so you need a second?
No. That's not the one, separate.
Just call for a separate vote.
Yeah, right. Does anyone want to discuss this further? The person who pulled it?
No, I'd just like to vote on it separately.
Okay. Okay, so we'll have a separate roll call vote on this. Motion first.
Motion.
Second.
Okay.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Segalas?
No.
Council President Pizzella?
Abstain.
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Councilmember Carthage?
I'm a yes because it's part of the agreement that we signed.
Okay, and so that is approved. The next one that was pulled was 66. That's the one on the bill S5. How do we want to handle that?
I think the preference would be to simply ask if it's okay with Councilman Segalas that we carry as opposed to formally table. Does anyone have an issue with that format? Carry it to the next meeting.
I think,
That's fine.
yeah. And is that, you want more time to consider it, Stephen?
Just want to actually read the tax generative bill in its current form because, the state government has done such a tremendous, I use the adjective loosely, job of managing the pension fund that I want to make sure we
Fair enough.
have an opportunity to give it really a fair read. The borough clerk would be kind enough to circulate a copy of S5 in the course of the next few days, maybe while she's counting snowflakes tomorrow.
It is available, just to say, Denise, it is available on the New Jersey State League of Municipalities. And in fact, this is the resolution that they are recommending to the municipalities that we pass, but you can certainly access it through their website. If you are unfamiliar with that process, we can have Denise send it to you.
Very kind.
Thank you.
Thank you for tech shaming in the public.
I'm just trying to save the borough clerk with some extra steps here.
Do we need a second to carry it?
Sorry?
Do we need a second to carry that?
You can certainly call for a quick
You
voice
can,
vote.
if that's what you want.
Motion and a second to carry it to the next meeting.
Okay.
Motion carried.
Second.
Well, roll call?
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Segalas?
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
Yes.
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Councilmember Carthage?
Okay, so we'll hold that till the next meeting then. And then 068,
Right, just, does this factor into the Emerald Ash or, is that what it is?
yeah, it does. Going the route of a forestry management plan, part of the execution of that plan would be the assessment of what the emerald ash borer threat means to us, and with recommendations that the arborist would make to counter it.
All right, I'm fine with it then.
Okay. So do we have a motion then on this?
Just one last motion.
Second.
So one last question. the Shade Tree Department LLC, John, that's at the state level.
No, it's the name of the company.
Private contract.
Okay.
John Munson is the arborist.
Okay, I was confused. I thought that we were, it sounded like either the state or it sounded like we were.
That was something for the town possibly.
Yeah, okay.
I had the same reaction when I first saw it.
Now we're creating one? I don't think
Yeah, no. That's a good point. Thank you, Frank.
To clarify on that, he'll be doing that work once the trees are fully leafed out, so you can tell the health of the trees. There's going to be a couple of months lag.
Starting
He gives to get it scheduled.
and focusing on public property.
Borough right of way, and then our parks as well.
Yeah, that's always been the intention, right? Never to direct to private, to the private. Right, the residents have to deal with their own emerald ash borers on their own property. We're concerned about the public right away. So we had a motion?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so we need a vote.
Councilmember Carthage?
Yes.
Councilmember Savellis?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
Yes.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Okay. Council commentary. Why don't we start on the left? Councilman Carthage?
I wanted to thank Assemblywoman Shapezi for putting on the event last night in Westwood on that open talk about gun laws and school safety. I think it was productive for the residents to kind of hear from our public safety officials, our superintendents. There was an SRO trainer there, and I think it was a good, vigorous debate. I also would like to thank our police committee members. I think we had a great debate last week, and that's all I have for now. Maybe my voice is shot.
Councilman Horvath?
Following of the award ceremonies they had the other night on TV in reference to movie stars and entertainment, I'd like to compliment the town, or rather the mayor and the council for the job that they're doing. I'm so impressed with the amount of detail that goes into this job and how well it's being handled and how well people are watching out for the interests of the town. I would just like to say thank you as a citizen. I'd like to say thank you as a councilman.
Councilman DeRosa.
Okay. I was coming down, a couple weeks ago, I was coming down to a meeting here at Borough Hall, and I noticed at George White School, dozens of apparatus lights, tower and ladder up at the top of the roof line, and I stopped and I saw the police, fire chief, and it was actually a drill, and it just struck me that how important those drills are, because we're not the FDNY, we're not a paid fire department. Thankfully, we don't see a lot of fires, but were we to see the big one, the drills are just so imperative, and they simulated a custodian missing. He threw everything to the mix, someone in a wheelchair, the elevator then conked out. So sometimes residents may say, oh, look, it's the fire department playing with their toys. It's so critical to what these people do, to the very reasons that I outlined. So I applaud them for doing that, and the chief involved several other towns. He's been wanting to do it for a while, planned it, so glad they did that. I think April is the 120th anniversary of Hillsdale as a town, not as a borough, but as a town, for what that's worth. Mayor mentioned the scholarship, so if you're a high school junior or senior, there's a $1,000 scholarship being offered by the League of Municipalities. See the guidance office for information on that. The essay is due by next Friday. Then just wanted to mention the importance of, if you see something, say something. And that's not just, in public places, physically seeing something. It's also on social media. If you as a parent or a child see something that, might point towards some sort of violence or, something else that could lead to a tragic event, it's all our responsibilities to report that either to law enforcement or to personnel at the school. And tomorrow's a snow day, so enjoy.
Only in some states. In New York City, the mayor did not declare.
That is all.
Councilman?
I'm sorry. If I wasn't clear, I meant schools.
Yeah. Councilman Pizzella.
congratulate Coach Leon and PV wrestling team. And also, just let the public know that St. John's is having their St. Patrick's dinner dance this Saturday. It's a really nice event. It's very authentic, and they have pipers, and they have Irish dancers, and it's a lot of fun. They have booze.
And it's open to parishioners as well as non-parishioners. Right, that's important.
Irish and non-Irish. You can get all the information from it on the website at St. John's. And then I also wanted to again remind everybody about what's going on with waste management, and to basically again reiterate that this is a huge opportunity for Hillsdale. That industrial zone, old industrial zone, just sits there, and it really is a solid way to help stabilize taxes in town, help revitalize the downtown, attract new businesses, but for the fact that there's one company that pays very little in taxes, we really could lose a great opportunity. So please, write your representatives and everyone up here. We're going to need your help. And we have to, we have to work together. And then also, in interviewing these planners for redevelopment, and economic development is a very creative subject. It's not just about building, residential housing. It's about increasing walking space and creating access for community and for social gathering and increasing commercial business space and landscaping. It's all these different things. And I just hope that everybody keeps an open mind and really just think of what we could lose if we did not fight a very good fight against waste management. That's it.
Okay. Councilman Segalis.
In the last several weeks, I've had the privilege of sitting on interviews on a number of established as well as ad hoc committees with my fellow council people, borough administrator, and even the mayor, who threw himself in the ring the other day when we were short a member. For those who are not familiar with the process, literally dozens of hours are given selflessly each week by people who are not compensated for doing the job, and that really shows a true and commendable dedication to the town. And the meetings don't just end with the interviews; they include impassioned Sunday morning discussions that sometimes go on for quite a period of time, but albeit ultimately in a productive manner. So we really do have a great working group of people up here. We don't always agree, but we all have a common interest in getting to a better place for the town. And with respect to the council president's comments on the issue of economic development in this town and waste management, for those who are listening, I just leave this one wild question out there. Unless you were a large conglomerate with $120,000 a year to pay to your lobbyist in Trenton, where in the world would you be forgiven for filing an application for a permit 14 months at a time? 14 months. 14 months. I'm certain Mr. Statiel has applied for septic tanks where a document was submitted 3 or 4 days late because it was a small private citizen and not a large conglomerate. Their application was thrown out and treated as a plenary application. Hillsdale has not been treated equally by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. They've become the New Jersey Department of Trash Protection and have disregarded our interests, and they have shamefully disregarded their obligations to protect the people of this town. Their failure to do their job has exposed our roadways to further deterioration. our town to mellifluous odors, and our children to particulate that diesel trucks spew, and studies have shown impact on lung development of children and teens under 15 and the elderly. They are a blight, they are a health hazard, and again, shame on the DEP. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hard act to follow.
Yes, but follow you will. Councilwoman Lundy.
I would like to first congratulate Coach Galliano and the wrestling team on a job well done and a season well done. Also, congratulations to John Weblars on his fire department appointment, and to thank the 2 volunteers who were sworn into their positions tonight on the planning board and the Access for All committee. As Councilman Horvath and Councilman Segal said, it really is, people put a lot of time into these committees and to serving the town of Hillsdale. I would also like to tell everybody, please stay safe tomorrow. It's going to be dangerous out there. The roads, hopefully they'll be good, but there's no reason to be out on them. There's nothing open. So everybody be careful. Excuse me?
Hopefully they'll be wrong with the forecast.
I don't think they're going to be wrong. That's all I have.
All right. Yeah, sorry, John, go ahead. No, you can go ahead. I'll go last. Go ahead.
Just quick things for the mayor and council. Next week, I anticipate putting a resolution on for a roof replacement of Borough Hall. We finalize the quotes on that, so I anticipate the next day or two that will be finalized. It'll be approximately $150,000 to replace the roofs on Borough Hall. They'll be all 3, because we have 3 separate roofs. The HVAC equipment was installed roughly 2 weeks ago, so that was the priority, get the HVAC equipment done, then get the roofs replaced. The GIF elected officials training is going to be held in council chambers here on March 20th at 6 p.m. I'll send out an email if people and mayor and council cannot attend. There's also online training as an option.
And there is an advantage to attending this. I urge you all to attend because we get a slight rebate. So this is money that comes to us, that if you don't show, we don't get the money. So please, try to show.
Are there sandwiches?
Hmm?
Are there sandwiches?
Finger sandwiches.
I know you don't eat at 6 o'clock, Anthony. I just...
Last thing, as I said before, Borough Hall will be closed tomorrow due to the state of emergency. Apologize for any inconvenience.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. I just wanted to say, wanted to thank our borough administrator, the EC, the Environmental Commission, especially Scott Raymond, for the New Jersey Tree Recovery Campaign that we're in the middle of, where the saplings, I guess, will be picked up and made available to residents. There are 1,000 saplings that residents can have for free. What is the date again on that pickup? April 21st? 20.
It's on a Friday, I believe it's April 20th.
20th? All right.
Coordinated with the schools as well.
Okay. I think it's a great opportunity, and the state makes this available through your tax money, so you may as well take advantage of it if you have the need for a tree to plant on your property. Daylight saving time starts this Saturday, so please keep that, or Sunday, actually Sunday morning, please keep that in mind. You're going to spring ahead as opposed to falling behind. You're going to move it out an hour. Comment, I learned that the rate of return on the state pensions, this is all pensions, police, fire, teachers, all employees, the state lowered their assumed rate of return on the pension from 7.65 to 7%. This has an immediate impact of increasing municipal pension contributions by more than $400 million in 2019. I haven't figured out how much that's going to be for Hillsdale yet, but it really shows you that, the legislature has decided that the truth is too hard to take. So what they're going to do is they're going to spread this out and lower it from 7.65 to 7 over the course of 5 years, because they just don't want to hit the municipalities with a large increase, which is admirable. However, it doesn't address the underlying problem of the underfunding of the pensions down in Trenton. Hillsdale, in 2017, our pension costs came to about $700,000. That's a combination of all the pension contributions that we make. to our employees, both the police as well as the clerical staff. So as soon as I can figure out, or I'm told what the increase might be for us, I'll let you know. But it is going to be another bitter pill for us to swallow at some point. But it's really fiscal irresponsibility down in Trenton. And if any of you saw the article in, I guess it was today's Record, about how the condition of the State House has been allowed to deteriorate over years, it makes you wonder what elected officials think about when they make decisions to put off basic repairs and investments in the infrastructure of whatever town they govern or whatever state they govern. It's something that I would not like to preside over here in Hillsdale, which is why I think we want to move ahead with our road improvement program and continue. And the roofs, I thought about our roof as I was reading that article on the State House. I didn't want our small borough hall to become like right. And the last thing, and this is more of a just a reminder to the council members, when you request services from our borough professionals, either ask borough professionals or engineer or lawyers to do things, coordinate that through the borough administrator, because we have a split form of government. We have checks and balances. The mayor, the borough administrator, the borough clerk, the clerks who work here, we're part of the, quote, the executive part of the government. The council is legislative, and you guys, we as a group, I'm only voting if there's a tie, but pretty much you guys as a group have total control over the laws and statutes that are passed here. But I would encourage council members to be consistent with the form of government we have and not generate expenses for our town, but go through the borough administrator first before you approach lawyers or engineers or planners. At least coordinate it through the borough administrator. And that's all I have to say at this point. We are going to go to closed session.
That's correct, Mayor. There's a resolution to go into closed session, 18071. Of course, the governing body is aware that we can move into executive session for certain limited purposes under various exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act. This evening, those purposes include several discussions of personnel, including some that are linked to collective bargaining. There's some discussion on borough professional positions, the library, waste management. I'm aware of at least 2 matters of litigation or potential litigation that may be followed up upon, including our affordable housing and our recent bidding for garbage and disposal services. So, having said that, I'm going to estimate approximately 1 hour in closed. I'm hoping that's more realistic than it's been in the past. And if it is if it's the chair's pleasure to call for that motion, certainly we could do that at this time.
Do I have a motion?
I move to go into closed with a limitation of 40 minutes. Any further discussion to be carried to the next meeting. Excellent.
I second that.
Okay, a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Let's go.
So, we have been in closed session, as is our tradition, far too long, and maybe not too long, but at least way over what our most reasonable estimates are. And we have concluded our closed session. There would be a requirement for a motion, if it's the chair's pleasure to ask for one, a motion to go back into open. If that motion is seconded and ultimately voted, I believe that the council will consider business back in open, and we'll deal with that as it comes.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to go back into open?
Motion open. Second.
Okay. We need a vote on that? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. I'd like to present a resolution that will authorize the execution and award of a fair and open contract for borough engineer. That engineer would be the present engineer, Chris Steele and Associates, after much discussion in closed session tonight.
That is a motion requiring council confirmation, obviously.
Correct.
And
So I need a motion and then a second.
Motion to confirm.
Second.
Motion to table.
Okay, so council...
motion to table is the first vote. If the motion to table is successful, then of course we wouldn't proceed to the motion on the vote on the merits. So first, as to a motion to table.
So we've had a motion and a second to table. We would
Yes.
move to a vote.
Move to a vote on
Okay.
the motion to table. It's a superseding motion.
Okay. Could we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember DeRosa?
I'm voting not to table.
Councilmember Horvath?
Not to table.
Councilmember Parsons?
Not to table.
Councilmember Lundy,
Table.
Councilmember Sagalas?
Because I care so passionately about the public actually having an opportunity to participate in the governmental process, particularly concerning the appointment of a professional who is going to have to carry the trust not only of the borough, but the residents who will be billed by him or her for services related to construction and the like. I vote in favor of tabling.
Council President Pizzella?
Okay, so there's a tie on the motion to table. The mayor would vote with
The
regard-
motion not to table.
Okay. The motion to table has failed, as being failing to garner a majority of the votes. Now we come back to the original motion, unless there's some other superseding motion. The original motion was for the motion and a second for the appointment of Chris Steele to the position of borough engineer.
Do I have a motion for that?
Motion.
Was there already a motion and a second?
There was a
There was already a motion and a
Okay.
second on that.
And
So
there was a
let's-
motion and a second. So now we proceed to a vote, a roll call vote on that?
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Councilmember Parsons?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
No.
Councilmember Sagalas?
No.
Council
And I
President-
will reserve the reasons for my vote to public, or to council commentary at our next meeting.
Certainly an appropriate response.
Council President Pizzella?
No, reserve comments.
Okay. We had a tie.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we all know what happens in the event of a tie. The mayor is eligible to break that tie, and of course, the clerk would record the mayor's vote in this matter.
I vote for it.
In favor of the motion, which would mean that the motion necessarily passes 4-3 for the appointment of that professional.
We also have another matter, a resolution authorizing the appointment of a DPW superintendent and acting recycling coordinator for the Borough of Hillsdale, and authorizing the mayor to execute an employment agreement on behalf of the Borough of Hillsdale to serve as the new DPW superintendent. That person, I guess I can read the actual heading on this.
You certainly can read the heading. You needn't read the entirety of the terms, although ultimately, the terms of any agreement or contract would be a public document at some point.
I'll read the resolution heading. The resolution authorizing the appointment of William Hafler as DPW Superintendent, Acting Recycling Coordinator, and appointment as the Principal Public Works Manager for the Borough of Hillsdale, and authorizing the mayor to execute an employment agreement on behalf of the Borough of Hillsdale with William Hafler to serve as DPW Superintendent and Acting Recycling Coordinator. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Sagalas?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Parsons?
Yes.
Councilmember Horvath?
Yes.
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
Yes, based on recommendation of committee.
Okay. So that has passed. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Enthusiastically
Is there a
met.
proper vote?
Enthusiastically met.
Can we table it?